Wait.
Let me just bring up the agenda.
And, oh, wait.
Is everyone able to see the agenda?
Yep.
All right. For the sake of time, I'm gonna go ahead and get us started here. Everyone cool if I get started? Yeah. All right. I'd like to go ahead and call this. Oh wait, I'm gonna have to hit record first. Where did my little bar go? Before I forget. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 12:05 p.m. and I'm going to go ahead and start us off with a roll call. I am here. Chris?
Here.
Christina?
Here.
Louise?
Here.
Michael?
Here.
Alex?
Here.
Jasmine? She is running late. Philly?
Here.
Kelly? Also running late. Emmanuel?
Present.
Kyle?
Here.
David?
Here.
All right, now that we've established quorum, I'm going to go ahead and move on to a next agenda item. Let's see, approval of agenda for November 25th. Before we approve the agenda, I'd like to make note of a couple of changes to move our discussion items before our action items due to us having some lovely guests joining us this evening. But other than that, does anybody else have any other changes that they'd like to make?
Want to have them before reports or action items?
Before reports as well. We're gonna move them before reports. Does anybody have any other notes? No. Then I'd like to go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the agenda of November 25th.
I move approval with the noted changes.
I second.
Moved by David, second by Chris. I'm gonna go ahead and bring it to a roll call vote. Chris?
Aye.
Christina?
Aye.
Louise?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Alex?
Aye.
Jasmine's not here yet. Philly?
Aye.
Emmanuel?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
All right. Now that we have approved the agenda, we're going to go ahead and move on to approval of minutes. For both of our minutes, I've actually been asked that we go ahead and table both of them due to missing committee member names for the reports. Can I just say table and we move on from that?
You have to have a motion
Okay. For each one. Okay. Then first, I'd like to entertain a motion to table the minutes of October 28th.
Mackenzie, you can do both of them in one motion, so that's what I would do.
Okay. Then let me rephrase that. I'd like to go ahead and entertain a motion to table both of our minute items.
I move table minutes for October 28th and November 18th.
I second.
We had a motion by David, second by Alex, and I'll go ahead and bring that to a roll call vote as well. Chris?
Aye.
Christina?
Aye.
Louise?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Alex?
Aye.
Philly?
Aye.
Emmanuel?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
All right. Motion carries. Now that we have gone ahead and approved our minutes, we can go ahead and move on to our discussion items, which we have some lovely guests joining us here today. So first up, we have privacy policy, which we have Crystal Colross down, but this is also a chance where Dean Fleming, where you can speak as well. And so now the floor is yours. You may go ahead and speak with the group.
Is Crystal here? Crystal, are you?
She has not joined us.
Okay, so I'll go ahead. Thank you, first of all, for inviting me. I really appreciate it. And so part of what I think I can discuss with you today is currently what kinds of ways that we're addressing privacy, also academic honesty, and specifically, I think I can answer your questions about the use of Proctorio on campus. I know that those were some of the questions that were being brought to me. So what I'm going to do first is just give you a bit of an overview of what we're doing and what's happening, and then I'll just answer any of your questions if that's okay, Mackenzie.
That sounds good.
Great, thank you. So first of all, I just wanted to let everyone know that, I mean, and I know Dean Cobb has probably discussed this with you, that we saw a very sharp uptake in complaints about academic honesty and dishonesty, and that we're dealing with that, and there are lots of different things that are happening across the board. And we definitely had requests from faculty members for tools to help assist them in classes and to maintain that level that we have on campus during face-to-face courses. And so what we're currently doing right now is we're piloting a software program called Proctorio, which is a test taking. I know you're familiar with it, but what I wanted to let you know is that it is in a pilot phase. We have not adopted it across the board, and not all faculty have access to it at this point. We're monitoring it and we'll be evaluating it as we go. We're currently piloting it in the areas of math, natural sciences, where it's available in our statistics courses, all of our statistics courses in business and social sciences as well. And we're using it in limited areas in econ and accounting. And I also just want to make it clear that it is optional for the faculty to use the tool. It is not mandatory in any way. And the faculty are also told that if they choose to use Proctorio, that they must provide an alternate testing method if a student has concerns or is unable to use it because of a technology barrier. So that's the status of us using Proctorio at the moment. We're also surveying both the faculty and the students who have been using Proctorio so that we're getting a sense of how we can improve on it, what concerns that they have. Some of the things about Proctorio that we're kind of working out the kinks, like everyone is, when you first start using a technology, and we try to figure that out. And most of the concerns that came from students over the survey from the first term of the pilot is just being comfortable with it, not sure. Faculty also need more support in learning how to set the sensitivity. So the sensitivity, the screen is there, and if you move too much or something like that, it could flag it. Or if the system thinks it's severe, it might lock you down, right? And take you out of the test or the quiz. But faculty have the option of setting that sensitivity. And so we're working with them so that they see that. Also, there are certain situations why somebody might be moving, around. Someone who during tests, might have an accommodation where they're allowed to, to say everything out loud. If you set the sensitivity too, high, it could flag that. But if you also know that, you can set that sensitivity. So we're working with faculty so that they are flexible in that, and that they understand how to use the tool most effectively. We had a lot of positive comments too from the students who in the first pilot, particularly that it leveled the playing field, that they knew that it was the same standard for everyone, and then it reduced cheating across the board, because I know that puts a lot of stress on students thinking that the scores are being inflated for some students and not others. And so that's where we are with Proctorio. And I'm happy to answer any of your questions about it, because I know that the privacy concerns around it, and for those of you who may not be in a class that's using it, not knowing what it looks like could be a concern.
Thank you so much for sharing all of this update. I actually had one question. So for the professors that choose not to make it mandatory or don't use it, are there any other alternatives they're looking at using if they have a student who decides they would rather not use Proctorio?
Sure, most of them use Zoom and have a Zoom exam, so there's still somebody sitting there watching you. One of the other things that we're working with faculty on are coming up with different assessment methods, because part of the concern is that you may have been doing the standardized test in your class, in your space, and that doesn't always translate well to an online learning environment. And so some of the other things, like there's one math professor, Professor Cho, who has completely oral exams now. and it's time consuming, and he's had to change a lot of things, but a lot of instructors are going that route too. And so we're trying to provide some professional development and support for the faculty members who also want to change the way that they're assessing or testing, or but most of them will just go with Zoom. We wanted to have a testing site on campus, so but obviously we can't do that right now. But as soon as we are able to and it's safe, we'll try to use that option as well.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else from the board have any other comments, questions, or concerns on this?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. So when you talked about you were running like samples and you were saying that students were like enjoying the proctorial, I'm just curious, like what type of sampling were you using? Were you just picking random courses, or were you taking all the students from each course you picked? I'm just a little more curious on that.
You mean about the survey?
Yeah, the survey, how you got your statistic.
Sure. So the faculty members were able to opt for this in certain areas, and we identified the disciplines where we were having the highest level of occurrence, happening, and the faculty who had been voicing the most concerns in their areas. And so those were the disciplines that we chose. The survey was sent to every single student in any of the courses where proctorial was used. And I was going to suggest that maybe a later date, Dean Starbird and I could come in and actually share those survey results with you. And I also think it would be really helpful if we did some screenshots, or we could do a demo so you can see exactly what proctorial looks like. So maybe at a future meeting where we could have more time on the agenda, that would be something that I would suggest that we could come in and share with you as well. Michael, did I answer your question about where this?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing that I wanted to also stress is, so my office, I work with Dean Cobb with the academic honesty, complaints when they come in. And one of the things that I will say is it has been useful for us to be able to reference the videos that come out of proctorial. A lot of times I'll see a complaint from a faculty member where they have a feeling that, a student is cheating, and we've actually been able to use the videos to make it less subjective and to require evidence. And it's actually protected some students during the due process situation when I meet with the students and discuss the situation. And in other cases, it helped us also say, no, it's right here. This is what's happening, and this is how we move forward. So we've been able to use it in a couple of other situations too, to, protect everyone during the complaint process.
That's actually great to hear that it's been used to help out some students, because I know everybody takes their tests differently. Some are just anxious test takers and may look a little suspicious when they're not. So that's nice to hear that update. Does anybody else from the group have anything else they would like to add into this?
Yeah, so thank you, Dean Fleming, for coming, and I apologize for not replying to your emails confirming your arrival to this Zoom meeting. But I just have a couple of questions here in regards to maybe what you said, and maybe just some of my philosophy on privacy, and if I can get your ear on that for a little bit. So the first thing is, you were discussing about if a faculty member were to provide an alternate way of assessing in addition to proctorial. I want to understand that there's no stigma with that, right? Like, it's like, why are you all of a sudden not wanting to do proctorial? Is there like a reason? I don't want there to be like a suspicion of cheating, or if the student has to provide a reason. So I know we can kind of speak to that and see how maybe that kind of agreement has been made between a student and faculty member if they were to provide alternate ways of assessing.
Well, I can't speak to the mindset, of every faculty member, but the way that we've communicated this to the faculty is that they must offer this. Mm-hmm. And, the way that we've broached that is that we've informed the faculty that these could be many of the reasons why a student may not be able to use proctorial. Proctorial works really well when you're in an environment like where I'm sitting, in a closed room where I'm by myself. Now, if my dog were to bust through the door, it would probably flag it, or if I have kids in the background, Or let's say, for example, I'm one of the students who's using the Wi-Fi lot and I'm in my car. You know, we've tried to inform faculty of the different reasons why a student might request to not use Proctorio. And I think that that helps reduce any sort of judgment that might occur with that, but we will continue to do that. I think it's an important point. So it's something that I'll bring up with the group that's piloting this and ask them how they're communicating all of that to the faculty in the pilot. So thank you for that.
Okay, and before I move into the next question here, I see Crystal here. Hi, Crystal. Oh, she's muted. Okay, but what I wanted to kind of talk about too is how, not to use a buzzword, but to like synergize the progress that maybe Crystal and AS has made in creating like a draft survey to send out to students about Proctorio, and how we can maybe marry that with what you've been doing with the focus group to get the best feedback. So what are your thoughts on, maybe the work that we've done so far, or maybe how we can merge those two pieces of information together?
Well, Crystal and I actually, she walked me through the survey this morning, and I think it's great. What I think is really important is to get the student experience documented so that we can use it to inform. What I do think that we could do in the future, and I don't actually have any suggested changes or additions or anything, I think it's great. What I do think we need to do is work with the deans who are in the pilot and who have been surveying those students so that the students aren't getting over surveyed. And so one of the things that we could do, and Crystal, I'll loop around to you after this, is to maybe meet with Carrie to look at the questions that she's been asking. And I'm going to forward that to you, Crystal, so that you can look at it, the first one, because I think if we could merge those, it would be really useful. Because we all know if like 10 different surveys are popping up here and there, you might miss one of them. So I do think that it is an opportunity for collaboration there so that students get one full survey. Although we should probably keep in mind that the purpose of the surveys might be a little bit different. And so that's why I want to share it with Crystal first before we come up with a plan.
Okay, that sounds good. I have a couple more questions here, but I don't want to kind of take over the session if anybody has any thoughts about what has been said so far or anything.
Christopher, if we don't have time today, you can always shoot me an email if you have other questions. And if we can't answer it that way, you and I can actually set up a one-on-one Zoom or meeting so that we can chat if you have other questions that you don't have an opportunity to ask me today.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I just have a couple of other ones, but I don't know if it would take too much time. Maybe I can just pick one of these, and or maybe I can just share my thoughts about, I guess, like this whole reason of why, I kind of really fought for this being the chair and kind of leading the charge in creating this survey. I mean, I personally believe that privacy is a right and not a privilege, and that's like there's a really clear delineation between that. I mean, it's kind of the reality now that it's understood that every time we sign up for a new email address or a new online service, we have to read like 3 pages, 10 pages of agreements and stuff. But I don't necessarily feel that, students have to agree to a long terms and agreement sheet of Proctorio or any other of this proctoring software in order to attend a class and move on with their career goals or transfer goals or whatever. So I just kind of wanted to, take that approach and kind of, if you can maybe see where I'm coming from in terms of my thoughts on just privacy and, not that I've experienced identity theft or any kind of, information sharing before, but, I was reading some news about Proctorio that kind of shocked me in that I believe the CEO of, if I'm wrong on this, correct me, but the CEO of Proctorio or one of these proctoring software companies shared chat logs of one of the sessions that was supposed to be private between a student and a proctor. And I didn't feel that that was right, having that kind of data and power and information in the hands of a corporation and in the hands of maybe a person that's not so responsible.
I don't have any information about that specific instance, but I do think that So we have to strike a balance, right? We know we have a need for something like this, and that there are benefits to using it, but I also fully understand the concerns that students might have, or that even faculty might have, and how intrusive it could feel and how strange it feels because it's new. And we're all just trying to do the best we can in this like pandemic situation to begin with, and all the things that are being thrown at all of us every day. I do think that it's important to strike that balance there so that we feel as safe and secure using the software as we possibly can. I'll look into that situation and what some of those kind of the agreements that we have and what can be used and what can't be used by Proctorio. And I also think that probably in our settings of the things that we opt in and opt out of using with them could be addressed. And so I will look into that more closely and talk with the folks who are dealing with the contract with Proctorio to try to get a bit more information. And maybe that's something that you and I could chat about, or that I could share if I come back again at a future meeting. But I'll put that on my to-do list of things to look into.
Okay, I appreciate it. And I guess to kind of give like a brief timeline to both you and Crystal as to, I guess, maybe where AS stands on this, I have it in my calendar here, seeing that AS has finalized their comments as of last week to put on the agenda for next week's meeting, that AS approve the draft survey that we have so far created with Crystal, so that, you know, you can kind of get our stamp of approval on that moving forward if you wanted to add any additional comments or enhancements to the survey.
Will do.
And then I noticed a couple of folks had their hands up. So first, I noticed Christina, you had your hand up first, right? I think I saw your hand went down for this.
Oh yeah, and I took it down, but I just wanted to ask Dean Fleming. I know that for these classes that have Proctorio, and I'm sure it's going to be carried on over winter and spring, perhaps. I was wondering if there is any way to show the students beforehand, even like right when they register, that this class is using Proctorio, just because I know some people that aren't comfortable with it may, like once they sign up for a class and they're like, oh no, I can't take this class anymore because they use Proctorio, and then they can't sign up for another class just because everything has been filled up. I was just wondering if there was a way to show students beforehand, not like 1 week before the class starts, but like as they register.
Yes, a couple of things. One, we're working on how we can identify that Proctorio is required in a course section in the actual class schedule. So we're working on that now. So students will know right there when they're registering. And then we're also working with the group of like an FAQ for faculty and for students, and a standard like communication that needs to come out from the faculty members to the students on the first day, kind of like with that welcome letter that lets them know. So yes, we are working on all of that.
Great, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Then I noticed three other hands first. First, I noticed Jordan, but then your hand went down. But then after Jordan, I saw David, then Philly.
Yeah, just students can go. I don't need to ask questions.
David, you're up then.
Hi, Dean Fleming. Thank you so much for coming. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the legal opinion that came out of the chancellor's office. And one of the recommendations that they made was to adopt policy that makes cameras on and the software that uses, exam taking software, to make that an optional, for students. But I did notice that one of the resolutions that the Academic Senate is working on doesn't necessarily make it optional, right? And so I was wondering what the feasibility is of perhaps making that part of the policies that we adopt, because I know districts like Grossmont, Cuyamaca, Community College District, they have already banned the software, right? They've already taken that step to completely ban the use of Proctorio for their students because they recognize that. But I think the biggest challenge here is obviously academic freedom of faculty. And so that's obviously our biggest hurdle in this. But I just wanted to know what your input was on the feasibility of making that optional.
Sure. And so the first term that we went fully remote because of the pandemic, we actually told all faculty, we had requests from natural sciences to use Proctorio, and as a district we said no, until we had more time to look into it. And so I think some of the outright banning of it might be a little short-sighted. I think that a lot of students find it as a usable tool, and we need to pilot it a bit and figure that out. And if we end up after the pilot discover that this is actually harming students, or that the majority of students don't want to use it, then we will move in that direction. So we're gathering all of that information right now. In terms of the chancellor's office decision, while it seems clear, it also has that caveat at the end, right? That makes it kind of vague. Except for in instances of, and it allows for that kind of area. I will say though that when we tell faculty you could choose to use this, but you must also provide the opportunity for students to say no, I think that that's reflective that we're trying to stay in line with that chancellor's office decision, and that we're not making mandatory for students to use cameras. And so in terms of the policy writing, I can't really speak to that so much, maybe Crystal can, about where we are in that. But I think that the decisions that we've been making and the guidelines we've been giving to faculty show that we're trying to follow the kind of feeling or the nature of the chancellor's office decision. I completely understand. So I have a 10-year-old, right, that's doing remote instruction right now too. And I'm currently having discussions with his teacher about whether or not he should be required to use the camera. It makes him uncomfortable and he doesn't like it, but the elementary school is making it required. So I completely empathize. And I know why someone might not want to have that camera on. I know there are days when I'm in Zoom meetings the whole time, you know, maybe at that 7 a.m. one, I don't have my camera on, you know, that choice being taken away from you, even if you don't mind the camera on, that you have that choice, I know is really, really important to everyone on an individual level. And so I think we're trying to be really cautious about making those decisions and making things required. For me, it's less about the academic freedom, because I think that we have ways that we need to be flexible with the students. And so we're trying to provide the tools to the faculty members. We're trying to provide guidance and support to the faculty members, but also through the lens of this is to serve students. And yes, there's academic freedom, but it is not a overall you get to do whatever you want kind of thing. And I will also say that the vast majority of the faculty members are really just trying to maintain their instruction as much as they possibly can. And using Proctorio is a way for them to do that. It's not for like necessarily nefarious reasons. You know, we may have folks that are reading into things and being a lot more strict, but I do think the vast majority of the time it's with the best of intentions. But we will try to make sure that our policies are reflecting that as well.
Thank you.
And then Philly, I believe you had something to say as well.
Yeah, so for the interest of time, I'm hoping that my question will be of interest to the general public. And I know that Dean Fleming, you're talking about how it's good intentions. And so I'm very glad that you were able to reach out to us and have that good intention of making sure that we're maintaining academic integrity in the students while still respecting their privacy. And I know you mentioned your 10-year-old is also felt little bit uncomfortable. And so my question is more about how the process of determining cheating, because I know you mentioned earlier about how they save the recordings of students. And so I'm not sure if this is under your jurisdiction or if you manage this and have a say in this, but I was just wondering about what the process is for investigating students that are cheating and may be falsely accused of academic.
Sure. So if a faculty member suspects a student of cheating, the faculty member will fill out a form, and it asks all of, a series of questions about the situation, who was involved, what you observed, and they have to upload any sort of evidence that they might have. Different types of evidence that I typically receive are Turnitin reports or copies of assignments that are similar that were submitted, stuff like that. And now that we're remote, one of those options could be the video, right? There have only been a couple of instances where that has happened though. What then happens is the student will receive a letter letting them know that the complaint has been filed. And in that letter, it explains that they can request a meeting to discuss it. And so if they do, then I meet with them individually and we go through it. If there is ample evidence, and the vast majority of the times the students, when the complaint is made, you know, the vast majority of the time, yes, this happened, or this is why this happened, and they want to know what the impact is on them for the future. You know, does this follow them? You know, is it a permanent thing? Is it just PCC, or does it go on their transcript, stuff like that? You know, and they have questions about what that impact is. In situations where the student feels that it was not a fair accusation, then I take down all of their information, any counter evidence that they might have, and then I investigate it with the dean, with the faculty member, and then we try to come to a resolution. If it's not as cut and dry, the student always has the opportunity to write a response, and so that it is attached to the complaint as well. If it's something that it's more severe, that it's maybe part of a ring of, you know, cheating, or these are multiple occurrences, then I forward those on to Dean Cobb, and she can talk more about the process that she follows when that happens.
Yeah, so it is a similar process. The students, so the Ed Code requires that any discipline taken against a student for any kind of student conduct, academic dishonesty included, students, we are required by law to provide an opportunity for that student to be heard. And so what Dean Fleming was telling you was the process in which a student gets to be heard. And the faculty are not allowed to like remove a student or kick a student out of class because they cheated. They can remove a student for up to 2 days, but the student has to then go through the broader student conduct process as described by Dean Fleming. And, you know, I think I told you last week or the week before, right now I'm dealing with, you know, at least 2, if not 3 cases that involve multiple people that are alleged to be cheating. So my job is to not just say, okay, I interview 1 person or 2 people, and so you're all guilty. I am required to meet with each of those individuals named in that incident report to ascertain whether or not 1, a violation occurred, whether or not 2, that person was involved in that violation and to what degree, and then 3, to decide an appropriate outcome for that, or consequence or sanction for that specific violation. And I have to do that for each and every violation named in that incident report and for each and every person. And so meeting with us is their opportunity, it's students' opportunity to be heard. And we take that into consideration. As Dean Fleming said, a lot of times, you know, when it comes down to it, folks say, you know, yes, I did it. I was super stressed. I had to get this grade and I'm taking 5 classes, you know, so I did cheat or whatever. And depending on what the situation is, their sanctions can be from, you know, either no violation or warning to expulsion. And so, you know, I have students in this one of these multi-person cases who has 3 prior academic dishonesty cases. So that outcome is going to be very different from if they are found responsible from someone who this is their first time, you know, etc. They may get a warning. But somebody with multiple instances of student conduct, particularly the same conduct, indicates a pattern of behavior. And so their consequences are going to be far more severe than the other person. And even after that, they get to appeal. If they didn't like my decision, they get to appeal to a hearing, to a disciplinary hearing panel made up. So it would be one of you, a faculty and staff, and then a manager who would chair that process. So that's related to all student conduct, including academic dishonesty. However, a student can receive a 0 or F on that particular exam if an instructor feels they've been cheating.
Also, I noticed that Jordan, you had your hand up.
Just really quick, I just wanted to say thank you, Dean Fleming, for coming. And Crystal, I know you're here. I've been following the privacy group since the beginning and helping just kind of advise. And I didn't even know about Proctorio, and it's being issued within PCC. And so I was trying to think back to when I was a student and how I would feel, right? And especially now that I'm, in a grad program, like how would I feel like during this time? And so it's really great to hear about the sort of the other side, right? The academic side of how Proctorio is being used, and not necessarily like the better part of it, but sort of like another perspective, which is what Dean Cobb, Carrie, and I try to use for the students to kind of like pull back instead of being so insular with a lot of these things. I do want to ask, and this is something that I can probably email you for. One of the questions early on that I had, and obviously the students couldn't answer, was I'm wondering if anybody on that end, did any research on like what other colleges are possibly doing, especially like privates, Cal States, UCs, because I know, we have a lot of transferred students that are doing that, but I don't really keep in contact with them. And so I don't know what's out there, right? This is all software that I'm not new. And thankfully, Chris has sort of taken like charge of this because he's very, very, very apt with technology, software, and what's out there. And so I didn't know what was out there. And this kind of seemed at the beginning like, whoa, like sort of like Big Brother, like, like dystopian, like technology. But then once I started to listen and get details about how this was to protect the privacy of, somehow to protect the rights of the student by sort of saying like, especially with these disciplinary issues, where if there's a report of them cheating, but then you can look at the video and see that they're not cheating, like that was something that we didn't think about, right? Or that I didn't think about. But was there any initial research done as to like what other colleges were doing? Because I know that when we went into quarantine, things were kind of like chaotic and we're like, what's going on, right? And so, me as a humbly little hourly worker, right, like I don't have these like things to reference. And so I was just wondering if there was anything done early on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And actually that was one of the reasons why we said no to testing software the first term that we were remote, because we wanted the opportunity to be able to investigate what other colleges were doing. And I will also say that, we looked at other tools as well, not only what other colleges are doing, but what some of the other tools are. There are some that absolutely we are not comfortable with whatsoever. Proctorio seems to be the one that strikes the best balance in terms of the security aspect of it, but also the privacy aspect. There are others that are far more, I would say, intrusive. And so, yes, absolutely. And if you'd like, if I bring Dean Starbird back and we come back in, part of what we could do is, give you kind of an overview of what some of those other ones are and what other colleges we looked at.
For the sake of time, did anybody have any final comments they wanted to throw in before we move on?
Sorry, I know this probably took up a lot more, but I'm always happy to come in and answer any of your questions. And I'm going to put my email address in the chat. If you have specific questions that you didn't get answered today, you can always reach out and let me know.
And we're always more than happy to have you back at another meeting if you'd like to come back and continue this discussion or anything else.
Just let me know.
All right. So, did anybody have any final questions, comments, sort of a last round? No? Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come in today and speak to all of us on this. I know this was a very good discussion to have with everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you all.
All right. And now, Crystal, now is your time to shine and take the floor.
Oh, I thought Stephanie covered everything,
Okay.
but if you have any more questions about the survey, I'm almost ready to go. I've made the changes Christopher sent me. I have just one last piece. I've contacted Jason down in DE to see if I can put this into Canvas, and I'm just waiting to hear back from him. And as soon as I'm ready, I'll let you know.
All right, that's great.
Okay, in terms of sorry. Oh.
Oh no, I saw you unmute, so I was like, Chris, do you have anything you'd like to add? You're good.
No, in terms of the timeline on this, as I've stated, I think I want to add an item on the agenda for AS to approve the draft that we created with you for next week. But as for a timeline to getting this on Canvas and getting this, synergized with Dean Fleming's work, I think from here on out, it's kind of I don't think AS necessarily has to do. I don't think there's anything that's required of AS. Am I maybe misunderstanding that, or I just want to make sure?
I think the only thing I would ask of AS is to use your networking abilities to let students know that it's there in Canvas and ask them to take it.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, I do definitely, again, really appreciate you taking time out of your day to create the survey and work on this. And especially, I think I heard Dean Fleming say that you met with her this morning. So I'm very appreciative of that.
Yeah, I think it was, I think Dean Fleming and I had a good meeting. I think we're both on the same page. I think we both understand that this survey will just give us another point of data to share with faculty and deans on how to move forward.
Okay, thank you so much, Crystal.
We'll see you all soon. Happy Turkey Day.
Thank you for coming. All right. Sorry, let me just readjust my screen real quick so I can make sure I can see everyone on. All right. So did anybody have anything they want to throw in on this item before we go ahead and move on? I know that our guests have left, but if anybody had something they wanted to put out there, now's your chance to go ahead and say so. Yeah. All right. Then we can go ahead and move on to the next discussion item B, invited guests, which I believe we do have a presentation here for us today.
Hello, my name is Sylvia Talawick. It's nice to see some familiar faces. David and Emmanuel, they've both been part of the facilities standing committee. So hello to you guys and hello to everybody. My name is Sylvia Talawick and I am one of the co-chairs of the facility standing committee. May I have the opportunity to share screen?
Yes, I will open that up right now.
Thank you.
Okay, you should be all good now.
Thank you. All righty. So we have been working to begin a due process of creating some necessary spaces, and with the urgency of the Black Lives Movement, we have started with this. And again, just thank you for this opportunity. And this is regarding the recommendation by the Facility Standing Committee for the expansion of the Black Student Success Center. So I had sent a hard copy of the full report, which I'm very thankful to Candace Jones for writing up. And I'm going to be sharing some key points of that report now. So this recommendation supports PCC's mission to create an equity-minded learning community and efforts to close equity and opportunity gaps in degree completion and transfers. The proactive and intentional goal of addressing the needs of Black and African-American students at PCC has led to the commitment of expanding the Black Student Success Center. It is also consistent with institutional priorities outlined in the Educational Master Plan, the statewide Vision for Success goals, and our institutional priority to communicate a sense of belonging for students who have been historically marginalized in higher education. The current Black Student Success Center has reached capacity. It was formed by uniting two adjacent office spaces capable of accommodating a maximum of 15 people. In addition, it's located away from main traffic areas. And providing an adequately sized and highly visible space will help to create a sense of community and to affirm the collective support perceived on campus by our Black and African American students. The Facility Standing Committee wants to implement a phased approach to gain insight throughout the process. There is a parallel effort with the Educational Master Plan to assess the use of facilities on campus, and both efforts will complement one another. We did consider 4 unassigned spaces on PCC's main campus and prioritize those that had minimal modifications and renovations that would exceed, so as not to exceed our proposed budget of $10,000. This recommendation, again, is for the temporary location of the Black Student Success Center, since the permanent location will be determined by the Facilities Master Plan. Sorry, I may have said Educational Master Plan. I meant Facilities Master Plan. So some of about the locations we considered. The Lancer Pantry offered proximity to the current Black Student Success Center and to a conference room, which was necessary, but it did not accommodate service capacity, which is for 45 to 50 students. And it also lacks necessary office space without costly renovations that exceed the proposed budget. Also, another big factor was that it is not highly visible. The former Career Center would accommodate service capacity requirements and has the necessary space for offices, tutoring, personal counseling, workshops, and other events. Moreover, the location is highly visible, it's furnished, and it would require minimal renovations. The only drawbacks that we saw were a lack of a conference room. The next space that we looked at was a classroom in R523. Which could provide service capacity requirements and has enough space for tutoring, workshops, events, and a conference room. But the significant modifications to the space would have exceeded our proposed phase 1 budget. The final location we considered was D300, but it was ruled out because it would negatively impact services offered by the Learning Assistance Center to all students. The research has shown that the creation of highly visible locations on college campuses that foster a sense of belonging directly correlates to the increase of student retention, academic achievement, and persistence to degree attainment. The Facility Standing Committee, in allyship with our Black and African American faculty, staff, and students, worked to advance the justice and equity and formally recommended to the College Council that the vacated Career Center was the optimal space for this first phase of the expansion of the Black Student Success Center, and they did approve that with a motion last week, I'm happy to say. Also, I do want to take this opportunity to thank everyone who was involved, not only with the Black Student Success Center Task Force, but everyone on the Facility Standing Committee. So as you can see here, there was a lot of representation from a lot of areas around campus. So I would be open to answering any questions that you guys may have. I think I might have seen something come up in the chat, but since it's closed right now, let me go ahead and stop sharing so that there, I can see if anyone had any questions. Okay, so are there any questions that I can answer? All right, thank you. So we just, oh, wait, David, did you have a question?
I don't know if you mentioned this, but what was the what is the expected date that this center would be available for students, given that when pandemic passes and everything, of course?
Great question. No, I did not mention it. So thank you so much for asking. So because the Career Center is such an optimal space that requires such little renovation, we are hoping to open in February, which is going to be just in time for Black History Month. That's the goal.
Awesome.
Are there any other questions?
So yeah, just one quick question here. I know there's another Black student program on campus, Ujima, And I just kind of want to know how this Black Student Success Center kind of works with them, or what the relationship is between those programs.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, thank you. So the Black Student Success Center houses a lot of different programs, UGMA being one of them, Black Academia also, A2 Men. So all of these counselors and personal counselors are going to be housed in the same spot. That's why we wanted, when we asked the stakeholders what they needed, that's why we wanted a space that had all of the office space available for privacy and counselors and every program that is housed under there. Rebecca?
And one of the things too is to piggyback on what Sylvia said. So right now, Ujima basically barely serves Ujima in the space it has and Black Academia, but the larger space will allow adequate space to serve Amend, Ascend. The transfer center has transfer bound to also have transfer focused workshops in that space as well. So it will allow for all of the Black programs dedicated to serving or supporting Black students in one space where that currently does not exist. Even though it's the Black Student Success Center upstairs, it really, I mean, Ujima itself is at 100 people, and that's with strict guidelines like pathways, whereas Black Academia is open for all Black students, and so this will provide an opportunity to have a space for all the programs that serve and support Black students, and they don't have to sit on the floor in the hallway.
I did also just want to ask and follow up on a question I made at the standing committee a while back in regards to stakeholder meetings. And I just wanted to know if the students were involved in those meetings and if adequate input from students that do receive the support from these services. Right. Okay, cool. Right.
Yes, no, thank you for that's a great question. So specifically, Maya Woods and Ashton Watts were attended meetings, and they are, if I'm not correct, please correct me, Rebecca, but I believe they are the co-presidents of the UGMA program. Is that correct?
Yeah, so they're club members, and one is involved in Black Academia also.
Okay, great. And also, the stakeholders did develop their own survey, and that survey was sent out not only to students, but all of the users, so staff and faculty, as to what are the needs that need to be met. And they have completed that survey, and they are going to be getting that information back to us. And we're going to use that as part of the phased approach to make sure that we're accommodating the right things, right? If it's a one-off, that's one of the reasons why we want to move into a temporary space to see what works, what doesn't, are all the needs being met of all of the individuals.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to share this with you. We are very excited to help meet the needs of our students. And if you have any questions in the future, please feel free to contact me. I'll put my email in the chat as well.
Thank you so much for taking the time to come in today and give us this update. This was a very nice presentation. I personally loved hearing you present on this.
Oh, thank you so much. It's very sweet.
Thank you, Sylvia.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead and bring up the agenda again, unless you had anything else you wanted to share on the screen.
Oh, no. I stopped sharing. I think you should be good to go.
There we go. Did anybody have any final comments, questions, concerns, anything to say on this item before we move on? No. All right. Okay, sorry, my taskbar is in the way. This happens every time I reshare my screen. It's okay, 1 second. Oh, I hate when this moves. Yeah, again, thank you so much for taking the time to come in today. If you ever have any more comments, questions, or anything for us, you're always more than welcome to come to another meeting. Move this here. If we have nothing else for this item, then we can go ahead and move on to the next agenda item. So our next discussion item is AS training. Dean Cobb, do you know if there's anything that was supposed to be covered today?
No. I think your name's on that, Mackenzie. No.
Yeah. Even though it's my name, usually I refer to Carrie for this.
No, I'm just joking. No, there isn't.
Yeah, I'm totally gonna give training today. So on that note, we can go ahead and go back in our agenda up to our lovely board reports, which I know everybody has been dying to do. So for our board reports, we'll go ahead and go in the order of who I see on my screen. And we'll start off with David. Do you have anything to report?
Yeah. I just put them away so I don't get them wrong. All right, yeah. So on Monday, me and Mackenzie met with Dr. Jonas and the executive team, and one of the main points that we were discussing were the Proctorio task force. And I asked this to Dr. Juni, and he said that he'll be getting back to me with that task force and what that would look like, and the students that will be on that. And I urged that associated students should be able to appoint their own student member on that task force. His biggest concern was, whether we were going to appoint a student that had experience with the software or not. And my biggest concern was the idea of administration, handpicking which students get to be on that task force. And as a student and as a student association, it looks like administration, sort of picking what opinions they want on there, right? So that was my biggest concern. And COVID-19 block grant was also brought up on the expenditures, on the status of the expenditures. And Dr. Bush said that most of the money for next year would be allocated to address the costs that are necessary to reopen the college. And again, my biggest concern with that block grant is because it was intended to address services for underrepresented students, and that hasn't been the case so far. So that's why I've been pushing on that. And also I wanted to follow up on our AS presentation from Board of Trustees. And so I asked about the potential of forming a DEI shared governance committee under our new Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer. And so that was something that might be a possibility in the future going forward. I also attended a Board of Trustees subcommittee, a goals subcommittee with Dr. Jonas, Dr. Levo, Crystal Carlos, and myself, and some other trustees. And we were identifying what are the biggest areas of improvement for the college. And the biggest concern was our customer service. And this is something that Dr. Jonas also outlined, was because the satisfaction from our students wasn't very great the past 8 months. And so that's the biggest area of concern for us right now. How can we adjust the way that we're providing this service to students, and how can we improve? And I think that's all.
All right, thank you so much, David. Moving on, next on my screen, I see Michael. Do you have anything you would like to report?
I'm trying to advertise for my club, so I'm working on for my committee. I'm working on advertising for my committee right now. I also received the requisition form from Alex, and I've been going over that, but I still need a little more time to finish that. So I'm going to be finishing up with that, reviewing, and then emailing that to Carrie. That's all I have to report. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Michael. Moving on, next we have Emmanuel on my screen. Do you have anything you would like to report?
Yes, thank you. So I attended the Health and Safety Committee last week, where I was introduced to the members, and we discussed the Air Quality Index for PCC, as we're anticipating wildfires to affect our campus again in the future. PCC police are requesting an address to recent wildfire smoke lingering into their offices, supposedly coming in through the ventilation. Also, it is a discussion that was tabled for further discussion. So we have to research for local and state contingency plans when it comes to air quality, indoor air quality. Also, we discussed the smoking administrative procedure 3570 and the board policy 3570, which will also be on the next agenda for further discussion. I've begun collecting feedback from our students, staff, and faculty. I also attended the Ascend Promise Scholars Mixer event that I was invited to by the coordinator of the program, Rohan Desai. Built community, and it was very empowering being able to provide advice to first year students through our Lancer experience. And for the AS Sustainability Committee, the meeting is going to be postponed till after the Thanksgiving break. Thank you. That is all.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Moving on, we have Louise. Do you have anything you would like to report?
Yes. I'm gonna be sorry, words right now. I'm gonna be a little extra on my board report, but let me just talk about the things that happened in my the committee reports, I guess. So I didn't attend the college council meeting last week because I was dealing with some personal matters, but I had a committee member go and said for me and gave me notes on kind of what Dr. Androdonis said. Let me just look it up here. So basically, they're actually looking into a possible ethnic studies degree, which is awesome because CSUs now require ethnic studies courses to receive a bachelor's degree. So that's really cool. That's what they're working on. Some highlights from the student services. That food distribution for, I think that we were talking about earlier, for those of you who had the meeting with Dr. Olivo, will happen last week, I guess, or this week. And the Disability Awareness Week was last week as well. So that was really cool. I hope you all kind of saw that online. I'm going to go into my own board reports now that I've done that. I'm able to share my screen, right?
Yes, I'll just stop sharing right now.
Okay, hopefully, can you see that?
Yep.
Yay.
You're all good.
Thank you, Dr. Oliva, for letting me do this. Okay. So finals relaxation week. So here is still kind of in the planning mode. We have done some things already that we are finalizing during this meeting later. So you'll see that. So when is it? December 3rd, 2020. December 4th, we wanted to do at Rosemead, but that might not happen just because I know Rosemead ended up December 3rd. I am asking my committee to help me set up for that, but I'm also free to ask you all to come and help me set up for that as well. It'll be at 9 a.m. and then the event will be from 10 a.m. to 1 at the main campus. This is the week of activities that I am planning. Let me know if you have any discussion about this, but basically I've kind of put it into these little, I guess, what do you call it? Ideas for each day: time management, prioritizing mental health. I'm reaching out to health and wellness about that. And of course, classic Among Us on Thursday and Friday for y'all who want to join. This is kind of not for y'all, this is for my committee. And Holiday Angels. This is already a graphic that the OSL had made. It's already out on Instagram if you want to share it. But basically, we're reaching out to faculty, anyone who wants to donate gifts that are on that link. They can submit those to the OSL. You can either mail them or there's a scheduled drop-off time for those gift items. And then the parents from EOPNS, CARES, etc. I'm sorry, there's a lot. We'll be able to get presents for the kids and they'll be able to come by and take them before the holiday season. And yeah, so let me know. And if y'all need help creating an email to, I guess, reach out to faculty for donations and stuff like that, I can make that as well. I don't know if Jordan or Dean Cobb want to add in anything to that, just because I know it is in the planning mode. But yeah, that's my board report.
Okay. Thank you so much, Louise. Up next, we actually have Alex. Do you have anything you would like to report?
I sent my requisition forms over to Michael last week. That's being reviewed by him. I had my committee meeting yesterday in which we talked about the updates around Holiday Angels and started planning events for winter and things we want to see then. Other than that, I don't think I have anything to report.
Thank you, Alex. Up next, we have Christina. Do you have anything you would like to report?
Yes, hello. So basically, I had my first committee meeting yesterday. It was super fun. We got to introduce everyone and kind of what they're going to be doing. We played Scribblio with everyone, and everyone really enjoyed it. I didn't invite you guys just because I know everyone's working on apps right now and finals is coming up, so I decided not to, but I'll definitely invite you guys soon when you guys are less stressed out. I also went to the Academic Senate meeting, and that's when we talked about webcam use, and also we also said goodbye to Dr. Junie. And also, I was working on an email to send out to Dr. Hennes about the resolution to see how we can help him. Also, I have been working with Louise on finals relaxation week, and hopefully that goes really well because I'm super excited for swag. But yeah, that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Christina. Up next, we have Philly on my screen. Do you have anything you would like to report?
Yes, I do have stuff I'd like to report. So it's been a pretty dead week for public relations, in terms of posters at least. But there are two things I do want to report is that I just signed up for the virtual training to become a web editor, so I can start publicizing skeleton budgets and any other budgets that are for the public. And I've also just been brainstorming ways to improve our PR. That's it.
All right. All right. Thank you so much for your report. Up next, we have, sorry, you guys' screens moved. 1 second. Up next, we have Kyle. Do you have anything you would like to report?
Second, I do have something to report. So first off, I want to say I went to an SSCCC meeting last Friday, and at that meeting, we discussed statewide policy regarding privacy. And specifically, I want to share my screen for a moment, if that's okay, Mackenzie.
Yeah, I'll stop sharing.
So specifically, Santa Monica created a policy and a petition to stop online test proctoring. And they also created an online site where they talk about different experiences with the testing software. So it's not necessarily implying that we should do exactly the same thing, but it's an option if we deem that our students think that we should get rid of this proctoring software, specifically Proctorio, and that'll be based upon our privacy survey. So it'll depend on that, but I think that this is a good option or a good thing to think about if we're considering having some kind of formal petition from AS. And we can use a site like change.org to make a petition to see if our students would actually be interested in that. And I think that's something that was really important that was brought up at the meeting. And so that's really all that happened at that meeting. But further on to my board report, I attended the Distance Education Committee, and we discussed the impact of COVID on our long-term plans for online distance education courses for the future, because with COVID brought a lot of new things. It brought hybrid courses. It brought the difference between synchronous and asynchronous courses, and it made us flesh out exactly what those means. But when we go beyond COVID, we're going to have to change some of these things because a lot of our structures we're going to have in place now aren't going to necessarily be what we're going to have in the future. So it's a lot of back and forth between the distance education people and the faculty, especially in regards to our policies. And we're drafting currently our distance education administrative policy, which we are soon going to be submitting after our next meeting, which should be 2 weeks from now. And that is all I have to report this time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your report. Up next, we have Chris. Do you have anything you would like to report?
Yeah, so all of you have a lot of stuff. I feel like I have comparatively less, but anyway, I think most of my work typically happens at the beginning of the year. That's why. But I had my last ICC meeting last Friday. It went way longer than usual, but I got a lot of really great feedback about what the body wants to see happen for spring 2021 in terms of funding, our virtual club rush, and the training that they want. So I actually sent out a survey because it was pretty contentious, the discussion that we had this past Monday, to survey those students, seeing what their vision is for spring. The funding committee was supposed to meet last week, but we didn't have quorum. It was kind of a little bit of my fault because it had to be a special meeting because it was posted a little bit late, but that's okay. There is a funding committee meeting that will be happening next Friday, and we will be approving any budget requests and talking about a stimulus amount of money to approve to give to ICC for spring 2021. No committee reports for me, mostly just ICC stuff, you know me. But yeah, that's it.
Thank you for your report, Chris. Up next, we have Jasmine. Do you have anything you would like to report? Jasmine, do you have anything you would like to report? I'm guessing she's away from her keyboard now, so we can go ahead and move on to Kelly then.
Right. So, in terms of
There you are.
Jasmine, you can go first. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's the Wi-Fi. I heard her voice for a few seconds and then it glitched out.
Okay, I can go first and then we can go back to her, I guess. But in terms of the lobby community, things are going pretty well. Last time, I forgot to update you guys last week, but we did our whole, team building event, and then we moved on to our plans and goals. So essentially, the outline for the goals is that we would first find and research legislation and have that come back to us. It came back to us right last week, but really finalize everything by next week after UC apps are due, and then collect information from Ms. Crystal Cole-Ross, which I've been getting some data from, to really analyze what legislation would best represent our students so that we're not making decisions on their behalf just by assuming or just by whatever we want. So that's something that's really exciting and I think really important. Once we figure that out, I believe by the end of December, we'll be contacting and collecting local representatives and hopefully setting up Zoom meetings because I know that we probably won't be able to meet them in person. By January and February, we'd like to create some resolutions as well and push that out. Or we could kind of switch that timeline. It doesn't really matter. We could do it at the same time, but we like to focus on one thing at a time. So that's what's been going on. And if you guys want to come, let me know because our meeting dates change very sporadically just because everyone has like different schedules every week. But that's just a general update. And also Emmanuel was there, but yesterday we met with the Canvas Communication Hub. I had this whole proposal. If you want me to show it, I could show it or I could just email it to you guys later. But it's this idea that we would collect all the student services and put it in a Canvas shell just because a lot of students don't know we have these services. I think it's kind of a disservice to our students because some students would be advantaged by the fact that they do know and that other students that don't know would be disadvantaged, right? So it's kind of unfair that some students are aware and some students aren't, like UMPNS, Upwards Bounds. A lot of students don't know we have these programs. So I think the best way might be to have a Canvas shell just because everyone has Canvas, everyone knows how to use Canvas, and we were basically forced to look at Canvas. So that kind of creates hopefully kind of equal opportunity in that sense. They have so they were very excited about this, and recently there's been some pushback. I think it's just because they don't want to duplicate stuff on the website, but I think what we need to make known is that it's not that we want to duplicate information from the website. It's that we need a better way to connect with students and for them to know what's on the website, because there's so many things on the website, nobody knows where to look for it, right? Or nobody can tell from the website that we have all these programs just by first glance. So that's something that we've been working on as well. But yes, Dr. Olivio, yeah, she's the one who kind of connected me, but yes, thank you. But yeah, that's all for me. I'm gonna mute myself.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Like Jasmine has stated in the chat, she doesn't have any reports for us today. Sometimes we can move on to my own report, though I'm going to keep it pretty short. I've been kind of MIA from a couple of the meetings that were going the past week due to my wisdom teeth procedure, but now I'm back and running and going to different committee meetings and everything. I did meet, like David mentioned, on Monday with him, President Erica, and her executive team, where we talked about the Proctorio Task Force. We got an update on the student services. Those services are still going to be provided. There can't be a drive up event like Dr. Leva was planning, but these services will still be continuing despite everything that's going on. And we also found out how students can go about submitting a resolution to Board of Trustees. Other than that, I'd say David pretty much covered it all. So that's all for my report, keeping it nice and short today. We can go ahead and move on to advisor reports. Advisors, do you have anything you would like to report?
Just real quick, just so you know, as you all are experiencing that COVID uncertainty, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to turn my camera off. Maybe. Okay. The COVID, as we're experiencing that, and how that's impacting your events, the drive-through, and I want you to know it's not just us being fickle, but you know, as quickly as things are changing in the county and now the conflict between Pasadena and the county about you know, restrictions, as well as really the college being required to do due diligence to make sure things are safe. So I just want you to be understanding and flexible that the college is not trying to shut down you know, student life or services to students. However, you know, we do need to be responsive to students. And so things like Holiday Angels, and I know Carrie was really not happy about some things, you know, that I had to say no to. But it's really because in some areas we need to be responsible, not only for ourselves, but also having you all here at the same time. Even though I think everything we've done and everything you've done, you have really stepped up and been exceptional in following protocol with all the events. And I continue to echo that to administration. But just so you know that as we move forward with this pandemic, and you know, we're far more hopeful for spring, that there may be times like this where we're all go and we have everything laid out, and that we have to then pivot. So with every plan you have a plan B, have a plan C, for everything you have. Have an alternate way that you can execute, because what you don't want to do and what we don't want to do is that if we can't do a drive-through event, we then don't have an event to do. And so it's just, you know, as all of us are leaders, it is our job to be able to pivot and to be flexible right now, and to really have multiple backup plans for things. So I don't want you to think you're being targeted, or I mean, you all happen to be the only ones who are actually doing drive-through events and have an actual protocol in place. So you know, I know they'll be reevaluating how that happens for winter and spring, but you know, we're hopeful that we'll be able to do more and different kinds of events and activities and ways to support students as well. So that's my main one. And like David said, Dr. Levo is working with those of us in student services to pull key information into Canvas. And one of the things we do need to work with is our web team to make sure we identify, and this is to me where you all come in, is what needs to be in Canvas and what needs to be on the web, so that we're not necessarily duplicating, and what, you know, I'm assuming the deeper material should be in Canvas, and things that are, you know, lists of things or whatever should be on the web. That's just my interpretation, but this is where you all come in terms of giving your input on what that should look like, because you will also be part of the student life aspect of that. And that's mine. And have a good whatever holiday. The next 2 days off, is that tomorrow? I'm such a blur. Enjoy your time, at least one day, and don't think about school or anything negative.
Thank you so much for your lovely report, Dean Cobb. Up next, we have, last but not least, Jordan. Do you have anything you would like to report?
I kind of don't, but I want to kind of echo what Dean Cobb was saying earlier about those drive-up events. I know it can seem very disappointing if we have to not do them, but I do agree that we do need to come up with those contingency plans in case something like this happens. I'm going to reiterate and I'm going to stress that you all need to be taking care of yourselves, health-wise and mental health-wise. If you are feeling that going and doing these events is going to be more stressful than coming up with a contingency plan, then don't do it. I would rather you not risk your health because cases are worse than they were in March. I would rather you not risk your health out doing things that might put you and other students at risk than for us to come up with a contingency plan and for us to reinvent the wheel, which we've done since the beginning of this pandemic, right? And you all have done an amazing job at coming up with new and innovative ways. There's things that I would have never thought of that you all have been coming up with that have been, tools that I have used in other organizations that I'm a part of right now, because we're doing another gift drive for another organization. And I've used some of the things that you all have come up with. And so let me know ahead of time. It's already the end of November. We're already going to be in December. I need to know ahead to plan for that. So that way we can just roll everything out when it comes. And so this is just a really friendly reminder, please stay inside. Please, if you have to go out or if you're working, please be careful, take care of yourselves. If you need any help, mental or physical, or even anything with PPE or anything, please let us know, Dean Cobb, Carrie, or me know, so that way we can get those needs met for you, because you all are working on all the students' needs, but you all need to also focus on your needs as well. The other thing too is next Friday, I will be attending the LGBTQ President's Advisory Committee. If there's anything you need me to bring to that committee, I already have a list of things that we've talked about in regards to like pronouns and other things as well, gender identity and stuff like that. If there's anything that you have heard or you need me to bring up to the president and or other constituents on campus, please let me know by Thursday, next Thursday, so that way I can get that reiterated to them. But other than that, please have a safe holiday. And yeah, that's it.
All right. Thank you so much, Jordan. That concludes all of our reports, so we can go ahead and move on. Oh, Michael, do we have any financial reports?
I shared the budget last week with everyone through email, and I haven't updated anything yet, so no.
All right. Thank you so much. We can go ahead and move on then to our next agenda item, which is action items. And our first action item A, Finals Relaxation Week Incentives Budget, is brought to us by Louise. I'll go ahead and bring that up and you can have the floor.
Thank you. All right, so as you know, Finals Relaxation Week is coming up and finals as well. So definitely let people know about these packs, but basically this is just an itemized list of what I'm spending for the incentives budget. And if y'all want to review it, have any questions before I make a motion, or I ask for a motion, or make a motion.
You can make a motion.
Anybody have any questions? I also, Carrie and I put together like the budget for each thing, and we kind of, I guess, took things out of one and put more into another, just got coupons and things like that. But they're pretty much under all the numbers that I put down. I don't have the exact ones because Carrie has those because of the coupons that she's found. But this is basically it. If anyone has any questions.
How it's right up against that ceiling, 2,900.
What are the quantities
Close.
for all these
It's
items?
actually. Oh, the quantities. Oh, that's rough. So let's see. I think beanies. Let me see. I think for beanies and face masks and sticky notepads, we had done 100 beanies. I think we did maybe 100 face masks and sticky notepads, like 150. Because the thing is that we'll talk about this later, but prepared for like a mailing incentives. So like these are the ones that'll fit in like a packaging, and then there was going to be a drive up incentives, I guess pack. So these will be split between those two. And that's why it's so much money. And then for the Amazon hand sanitizers, I think we got, I actually have the numbers for this one because Carrie gave it to me. Sanitizers and 120 candles. And for hot chocolate and cookies, blankets, I think we're doing like 75 blankets from IKEA. I have no idea, I'm sorry.
150. I think it's 150 blankets.
Okay, 150. Thank you so much. She hasn't. It's because we bought it from so many places that I don't have it all in one yet. And the hot chocolate and cookies. This is basically just how much we can get from a grocery store. So that budget is just 100. We are trying to get the hot chocolate for the mailing and the drive up. So that would be around like 250, because we originally planned for 100 mailers and 150 drive up giveaways, which I know is already like over the budget, but we do have more for later if we need it, or holiday angels as well.
I guess my additional comment would be on the funding, because the recommendation you put not to exceed 29.99. At the bottom, you say the total is going to be 29.70. From my understanding, you're supposed to put the total as a not to exceed amount, but I could be wrong on my procedure on that.
No, so Kyle, it reads right. So we're going to approve that amount because that's the highest that we can go until it needs to go to the BOT. So, but the total budget is right what you see in the total. But I mean, with a $39 difference. I can't do math. I'm not a math major, but just with a couple of tens of dollars difference. Thank you, Kyle. You're in economics. 29.
Does anybody else have any comments, questions, concerns, anything to cover before we move on to a motion?
There'll be a lot of these in the future. I know Christina is getting ready. All right. Well, if not, I'm going to go ahead and make the motion. So I move to approve the Finals Relaxation Week budget not to exceed $2,999 coming out of the incentives budget.
I second.
We have a first by Louise, a second by Christina. I'm going to go ahead and bring this to a roll call vote. We'll start with Chris.
Aye.
Christina.
Aye.
Louise.
Aye.
Michael.
Aye.
Alex.
Aye.
Jasmine.
Aye.
There we go. Your mic worked. Philly.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Emmanuel.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
David.
Aye.
All right. Motion passes unanimously. We got some money. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna end up moving back. But first, let's bring up the agenda again for our next budget item, which is Finals Relaxation Week postage budget, brought to us by Christina. I'll go ahead and bring that back up. So Christina, the floor is yours. I believe this is the right one.
Yeah. Hi everyone. So there's gonna be a lot of these, but so we have our finals relaxation budget not to exceed 700 coming out of the postage budget, and because we have giveaways that are potentially like pretty big and heavy, Carrie suggested $7 per box. We're thinking of getting like shoebox size boxes from the postal center, and we were thinking of getting 100 of those, give or take, and the total that we are proposing is 700. Does anyone have any questions? If not, I move to approve the final relaxation budget not to exceed 700 coming out of the postage budget.
Second.
All right, we have a first by Christina, a second by David. I'll go ahead and bring this to a roll call vote, starting off with Chris.
Aye.
Christina.
Aye.
Louise.
Aye.
Michael.
Aye.
Alex.
Aye.
Jasmine. Jasmine. It's good. I'll come back. Philly.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye. Sorry.
Emmanuel.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
David.
Aye.
We'll try Jasmine one more time, and if your mic doesn't work, you can type it in the chat. Do I count this as an abstain then if we don't get a response?
No vote recorded.
All right. Well, motion passes. We can go ahead and move on into the next item. I'm going to keep going back and forth on this. Up next, we have the finals relaxation week subscription budget. I will go back to that budget now. And that is also brought to us by Christina. So you're back.
This is actually the programming budget. And it was on the agenda as second. So, but yeah, it's recommended for us not to exceed 300 coming out of the programming budget. And this is for the speakers that are going to invite. So I believe that we have Jordan as one of the speakers who's going to talk about time management and mental health, I believe. And we have another one, which is a yoga instructor. I know Louise has something.
Sorry. So I just wanted to just clarify, the contracts haven't been, I guess, like created yet. This is just like, I guess, like in case we do end up having them in time, but it is just a budget proposal in the case that we do. So yeah, I don't know if that's any,
Thank
like,
you, Louise, because I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I've not seen one contract, and I'm only the second person it has to go to. So.
Yeah, yeah, that was wishful, but yeah, in the case that it does happen, we do have a budget for it, but I have I guess a contingency plan if it does not happen.
Yeah, Dean Cobb, we were supposed to meet, so we'll probably meet next week to discuss this either Monday or Tuesday, so that way we can get these processed as soon as possible. If not, I always just love to do a workshop, so I have no problem.
We have a little time. We should be able to get them done if we find out by Tuesday.
Any other comments, questions, concerns, anything else up for discussion on this before we move on to a motion? Sounds like a no.
Okay, I move to approve the final relaxation week budget not to exceed $300 coming out of the programming budget.
All right, we have a first by Christina. Do we have a second?
I second.
All right, second by Louise. We'll go ahead and move on to a roll call vote. I cannot speak today. We'll start off with Chris.
Aye.
Christina.
Aye.
Louise.
Aye.
Michael. Oh wait, did he leave? Okay, we'll move on then. Alex.
Aye.
Jasmine.
Aye.
Yay. Billy.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Emmanuel. Don't worry, I heard you, Kelly.
Aye.
Kyle? And David.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. We have all these budgets approved. Let me go ahead and scroll back down. I believe that is, oh wait, I think this is the wrong one. Hold on. Sorry, that was the old one. Here's the updated agenda. I believe that's all the action items we have. And so we can.
We have one for subscription. The last one was programming.
Oh, did I not pull up? So sorry, I'm going out of order here. We have finals relaxation week subscription budget. Let me pull that up right now. There we go. Sorry about that. We can go back to
the last one. So we are not sorry. Okay, so I'm recommending to approve the finals relaxation budget not to exceed $150 coming out of the subscription budget, and this is for the Forest app. I've worked with, usually this is a paid app that's usually about $2. And I worked with the coordinators at the Forest app, and they gave me a site where, because we are an educational organization, we can get a discount where the app is basically $1 each for Androids and Apple. And with this one, this is, if you guys don't know, this is a study app where basically you are more focused. It's supposed to enhance productivity, where you basically plant a tree and you put your phone down, and if you pick up your phone, you kill the tree, which most people don't want to do that. So yeah, and it also plants trees in real life, so that's pretty cool. And I've heard a lot of good reviews about the Forest app, and I know Philly also said he uses Forest, and so I'm hoping this helps the students when they're studying for finals, or even for the next semester, because I know going on your phone is a big problem. But yeah, are there any questions?
Do you know if Carrie got this okayed through Candace?
So she told me that she sent, she told me that she sent an email to Candace, but that was before she went on vacation, so I'm not too sure.
I'll check with her.
Okay, cool. Any other questions? And yes, they don't kill the real tree if you pick up your phone. But yeah, so okay, I guess I'll just say I move to approve that the final relaxation budget will not exceed $150 coming out of the subscription budget.
Second that.
Second that motion.
Okay, we had a first by Christina. I believe that was Kelly I heard first.
Sorry, my voice just cracked a bit, yeah.
All right, we can go ahead and bring it to a roll call vote. We'll start off with Chris.
Aye.
Christina.
Aye.
Louise.
Aye.
Alex.
Aye.
Jasmine.
Aye.
Philly.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Emmanuel.
Aye.
Kyle.
Aye.
David.
Aye.
All right, motion passes unanimously. We have more money ready to spend. Let me go ahead and bring the agenda back up. We're almost done, everyone. Don't worry. Actually, that's the last. No, I keep pulling the wrong one. This is our agenda. Ha. All right, we've covered all of our action items and our discussion items. We can go ahead and move on to appointment to college-wide committees. Dean Cobb, Jordan, have either of you heard of any committees you need to appoint people to? I don't have anything on my end, so we can go ahead and move on to appointment to AS.
I do have a question. Do you all have anybody appointed for the police policy task force?
I have not heard anything about that, so I want to say no.
Okay. So I missed the last couple meetings.
Or I missed last week too, so I don't know what happened.
They're very long, but it did dawn on me that there are no students on that.
Okay. Should we pick someone today then to do that?
Yeah, why don't you pick it? So one of the things what we're doing is there's a 600-page police policy manual that the president has asked us to review. And so we're reviewing it like 50 pages at a time. And we're looking for things like bias. We're looking for language that could convey bias or could lead to, unfair treatment of folks, such as racial profiling. One of the things we are talking about is training for not just sworn officers, but cadets. So we're reviewing it meticulously for that kind of thing. So, and just because a lot of it is really dated, that, so I think it would be nice to have a student on there. Dr. Bush chairs it. I don't think there's anything prohibiting you all from being on that committee. It's a task force formed by the president.
Do you know anything about like when they meet, or is that still up in the air?
Yeah, no, we still meet every 2 weeks. Let me see when the next one is.
I was like, let me pull up my calendar and see when my meetings are.
Yeah, let me see. Our next meeting might be next week. Yep. So our next meeting is December 10th. 3 to 4:30. So the meetings are every other Thursday from 3 to 4:30. And I think I can send you, whoever's appointed, I think I can send you the email, the policy manual. And we have a Teams group too that you could be assigned to.
Is there anybody here who really wants to sit on this after hearing everything about this committee? Take that as a no. Dinka, I can just go ahead and do it then. I don't have meetings at that time.
I'll put you down. And so maybe, if someone can't make that, or it's a big lift, it's a lot of work. But then if somebody can't make that, then maybe I can meet regularly with somebody and go over what we're working on or the changes that we're doing.
Yeah.
Or that are coming up.
Yeah. But Thursdays are generally pretty clear, so I feel all right taking that on. Appoint several students. Oh yeah, would we only put one student, or would we want more than one student sitting on this?
I think right now I think there's 2 of us. I think there are 2 managers. There might be 3 faculty, 2 classified, and then there are members of the police department. So I think there's 2 from each group.
Mm-hmm.
And my apologies for bringing this to you late. It didn't, like I said, it just dawned on me that we didn't have any students on there.
Not a problem. We all got a lot going on and so many committees that we're supposed to be a part of. It meets on Thursdays.
I think I just want to echo what David said. Maybe we should open this up to our committees, which means that if we appoint people now, we would have to retroactively say, sorry, you can't do that. We're going to put a committee member on. So it might be better to wait for us to have our committee meetings and then see if we can get some feedback, or if we have our own communications with them, see if anyone would be interested before we try to decide to appoint somebody.
Yeah, the only reason I was looking to try and appoint someone today is since Dinka mentioned that there is a meeting coming up already. So I was like, if we can just put someone in now. Oh, I see Philly's interested in this as well.
The meeting's in 2 weeks, Mackenzie. So I think if
2 weeks.
Yeah, if people have committee meetings next week, they can probably get the word out before then, so that way you can appoint them before.
Okay. Should we go ahead and save this for next week then to appoint someone? So we can see if there's committee members and if any of us. All right. So besides this committee, which we will be tabling in appointments, is there Any other committees that you think we need to throw someone in on? I should write all this down. Think of, is there any other committees or was it just this one? No, okay. Now we can move on to appointment to AS committees. Does anybody have any appointments that they wanted to make?
I do. I'd like to appoint Samuel Hahn to Campus Activities Committee and then Leslie Tai to Campus Activities Committee as an associate member.
Sorry there. Does anybody else have any other appointments? No? All right. Then we can go ahead and move on to the next agenda item, which is bill acceptance. Kelly, do we have any?
Not, oh, actually, oh, no, I wouldn't consider that. No. No, so you can move on.
Okay. Moving on to approval of ICC funding. Chris, do we have any?
No request.
All right. We can go ahead and move on to public comment on non-agenda items. Can somebody check the YouTube to see if we have anything on there? Sorry, because every time I check from here, it gets kind of wonky.
There's nothing.
All right. Then we can go ahead and move on to announcements. Does anybody have any announcements? Whether it be things you've heard in your committees, clubs, just things that you're doing, anything?
PCC. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. No, you go.
My club, PCC Pre-Law Club, just had our first practice competition, scrimmage, getting ready for our mock trial competitions in February. I think it went really well. And we're also opening it up to people who are interested. We have 2 spots that are still open. So if any students are interested and trying to join that and see exactly what it's about, they should join or at least watch our videos. They're posted on our Lance for Life page.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. I mean, even if you're not interested in law, it's really fun because you get to pretend to be somebody, and it helps you develop your analytical skills, which can be applicable to anything. So that's really great.
Does anybody else have any other announcements?
There is a PCC Social Services and Hathaway Sycamores are doing a housing workshop today. From 3 to 4:30. If you need the PDF, I have it here with me, but just in case you know of any students that are having any housing issues right now, or if you're thinking about moving out, they're going to answer questions about rent and how to look for affordable housing during this time. So just FYI.
Okay. Anybody else have any other announcements?
I don't know if I could say this, but I wanted to say, please submit your UC apps early. Don't wait till the last day. But yeah, I hope everyone does well in their apps. And if you haven't started, please get on that ASAP. But yeah.
Oh, Mackenzie, I have one more thing, but thank you, Christina. Very good reminder. I needed that.
Go for it.
Actually, oh, sorry. Yes. So for the Canvas shell, I don't know if you guys feel strong support and feel like there's a strong need, like message me, because these are the comments that we need. Because right now that group is kind of moving towards, doing another app. I mean, I think that's great. But the problem with that is that there's no incentive for students to download the app, right? The whole thing about Canvas is that we're kind of forced to use it, and that, they're going to stumble across the services because they already have Canvas, right? They're not going to be downloading an app, out of, it really depends. I mean, if you feel like that's better, then the app is better, then let me know as well so I can kind of communicate that. But in my head, I'm just thinking that Canvas is already there. We're already used to it, and that's the only way we're able to have these resources become more accessible because they'll stumble upon it. But yeah, thank you.
So I want to add one more thing about the whole transferring, because we're talking about college. The transfer center actually has drop-in appointments. If you let me share a screen for a second, I can show you this.
I'll stop sharing my screen. There you go.
That's my thing. But here they have a meet with a transfer advisor, and if you click, they have virtual drop.
It says he started screen
And when you
sharing,
click
but I don't
on
see
go to
it.
transfer advisement, one sec, hold up.
Yeah, it says he started screen sharing, but that's all it says.
The heck? 1 second.
Mhm.
Can you see anything? Yes or no?
I don't see anything.
It says my Zoom is not. They kicked me out of Zoom.
What nefarious things are you trying to do, Kyle?
All right, can you see it now?
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay, so they have virtual drop-in advisement Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And it takes you right to their Zoom. And I actually worked on one of these panels when we did our university day. And it takes you to a main Zoom room, and then you can tell them what you need, and they'll send you to different breakout rooms. So it's really structured. It's really great. And they help you a lot, and they'll actually review your app with you.
Do you see my
Good
face right there, everyone? Just want to let you point out that that's me right there.
There's Jordan. All right, so that's what I really wanted to add. So do that now, because if you wait until like the day before, it's gonna be packed and there's no way you're gonna get someone to review your stuff. So think about that. That's all I have.
I just want to clarify, Kyle. It's only Monday to what is this? Monday to Thursday, right? So technically, the only time we'll be able to meet with a transfer advisor would be Monday, which is the 30th, right? Okay, yeah. I don't know. I don't think you would have the answer to that, but I just want to put it out there. But still useful.
Do we have any other announcements to throw in? I know somebody's got something, considering how much we've been going back and forth on this. No. All right. Then we can go ahead and move on with the agenda, future meeting dates and times. Our next meeting is December 2nd. Please send me any agenda items by the 26th. And if you have any supplemental items to go with it, make sure you send those in as well. On that note, I'd like to go ahead and entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting at 1:56 p.m.
Adjourn.
All right, so I heard first by Emmanuel, second by David. I'll go ahead and bring this to a vote. I'm gonna do it based off how I see people on my screen right now. Luis?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Christina?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Emmanuel?
Aye.
Jasmine? I'll go back to you. Alex?
Aye.
Kelly? Aye. Philly?
Aye.
All right, and then Jasmine, let's try again.
Aye.
There we go.
Clear.
I heard you. Did I get everybody? Sorry, some people started moving, so I think I caught you all. All right, on that note, meeting adjourned. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and stop this stream.